Hello everybody, welcome to Conceptual Geometry, Lesson 1.1, the first lesson of the year, naming and types of angles. All right, there are 5 types of angles that we are going to talk about. The first one being acute. An acute angle looks like this. I'm going to use this symbol here. This symbol is called theta, and when you see this, that just means an angle. The angle measure of an acute angle is less than 90 degrees. So I'm going to say theta is going to be less than 90 degrees. So 1 all the way up to 89.9 will be an acute angle. Next, we have a right angle. I'm sure you guys are familiar with this, but a right angle, it's like the corner of your paper, contains 90 degrees. There's a symbol for a right angle we use. We put a little square in where that angle's located, and that is exactly 90 degrees, so we'll say theta equals 90 degrees. An obtuse angle is more than 90 degrees, but at the same time, less than 180. So it kind of looks like this. And there's my theta. So what I'm going to say here is 90 degrees is less than theta is less than 180. That's a way that we can write an inequality that represents an angle between 90 and 180 degrees. Next, we have a straight angle, and that's just going to look like a line, basically. That would be the vertex. So this here would be the angle. That's my theta, and that is exactly 180 degrees. And next, we have reflex. Reflex looks a little bit weird. Kind of looks like an upside down obtuse angle, but I'm talking about this measure all the way around here. So for a reflex angle, we're going to say 180 degrees is less than theta is less than 360. And those are our 5 types of angles. So now what we're going to do is we're going to identify these. I'm either going to give you a picture or I'm going to give you an angle measure, and you just have to write down acute, right, obtuse, straight, or reflex. So let's take a look at these examples here. 1A, well, that simply looks like the corner of my paper, so all I have to do is identify this as a right angle. Part B, what I'm going to be looking at, all right, if you do not see one of these little arcs that represents what direction they want you to go, you're going to assume it's the shortest possible distance. So if I don't see an arc here, I'm going to assume they're talking about this angle. So clearly I can see that that is an acute angle. Next, I just have a straight line. A straight line is also known as a straight angle. Now I'm going to give you angle measures. All right, sometimes I find this a little bit more challenging than looking at the picture. So 98 degrees, I've got to think, where is 98 degrees in this interval up here? Well, it's not less than 90. It's not equal to 90. It's between 90 and 180. So 98 degrees falls in this interval in here, so I'm talking about an obtuse angle. Next, I've got 212 degrees. Well, same thing. 212, I'm going to go up here. Well, it's not less than 90. It's not equal to 90. It's not between 90 and 180. It's not equal to 180. 212 is between 180 and 360, so that's going to be a reflex angle. And 89 degrees is really close to 90, but it's not 90. So that's going to be less than 90. That'll be acute. Okay, the second part of today's lesson is going to be naming angles. And we have 3 basic ways we can do that. We can name an angle with a number. Now, you can only do that if there's a single angle in the diagram. And we'll explain in a second when you can't name it with just a number. Or you could name with a, I'll call it capital or uppercase letter. And again, there can only be a single angle in that diagram. If there's more than one angle joined, we have to use this last method, and that's going to be name with 3 letters. And the vertex is in the middle. Okay, so in this diagram here, there are actually three angles. There's this angle I'm highlighting, there's one. There's this angle I'm highlighting, there's two. And there's this angle I'm highlighting, there's three. So there's actually three angles there. So what I want to do first is I want to name angle 1. Angle 1 is only this angle here. So that's a single angle. I cannot call it angle B. Here's why. Am I talking about this B, or this B, or that B? So I have to use three letters. Angle 1 represents this right here. The vertex is the corner, so that's the vertex. That letter right there has to be in the middle. So I can say I'm going to use A, B, D. Here's my symbol for angle. A, B, D. Now some of you might say, well, couldn't I have gone the other direction? Absolutely. You could start here and go D, B, A. Angle D, B, A. Those represent the same. Angle 2, I think you guys get the hang of this now. Angle 2, I can do D, B, C, because that's this angle, or backwards, C, B, D. So angle D, B, C, or angle C, B, D. Both of those represent the same angle. Okay, so let's practice a couple examples quickly here, and then we'll wrap up our first lesson. Example 2 says give 4 different names for the angle below. Well, this is a simple diagram in that there's only one angle. So let's go through our 3 naming techniques we have. I can name it with a number if there's a number in the angle. So clearly here I can see, yeah, there's a number. That's number 1. So this can be called angle 1. Angle 1. Or I could use an uppercase letter, because there's only one angle here. I do not have any other angles coming out from that letter. There's just this one angle. I can call it angle T. Or I can name it with 3 letters. All right, KTM, angle KTM. Some of you might recognize that as a motorcycle. Manufacturer, I should say, not just a single motorcycle. Or MTK. Angle MTK. All right, last part of the lesson, adjacent angles. Adjacent angles are basically 2 angles that share a common side. So adjacent means next to, basically. So in this diagram here, name 3 different pairs of adjacent angles. So again, I'm going to use my highlighter. So if I'm talking about this angle right here, angle 1, an adjacent angle to that has to share the side. So I'm going to draw this angle. Angle 1 and angle 5 both have this side in common. So I can say angle 1 and angle 5. Those are adjacent angles. That's one pair. Well, look at this side here. Angle 5 and angle 3 both share this side right here. So I can also say angle 5 and angle 3. Well, now it gets a little bit more challenging because I've used the easier ones, the smaller ones. There's also 2 other pairs. We only need to name 1. But let's do this. Let's take a look at this angle here, angle 1. And I've already used angle 5, so 1 and 3 are definitely not adjacent to each other, but check out this angle. So this angle here and this angle here share this side. So I can say angle 1, and now to name this angle, which is the one it's adjacent to, I have to use 3 letters. I cannot use a number because there's 2 different numbers, and I cannot use a letter because what angle B are you talking about? There's like 3, 4, 5 different angles there for B. So I have to use 3 letters. D, B, C. Angle D, B, C. So there are 3 pairs of adjacent angles. All right, our last example. Draw a diagram that represents adjacent angles DEF and FEC. So the first thing I want to do here is I'm just going to draw an angle DEF. The other thing I'm going to notice, E is in the middle, and notice we see an E in both, so it's got to be in the middle of both. So it doesn't really matter how you start this. Maybe you draw something that looks like this. D, E, F. Okay, now we need to notice what's the same. D, E, F, F, E, C. So notice E, F, F, E. So my second angle has to have F, E in it. So I'm going to start here, and then maybe just go off in any direction. You could do that. You could do this. You could do that. It doesn't matter as long as this is the start of your new angle. So I'm just going to kind of draw something that looks like this. And then this has to have the C on it out here. So just tracing my angles here, DEF is this angle, and FEC is that angle, and they share this side. So those are called adjacent angles. All right, well, that's the conclusion of our first lesson. Please reach out if you have any questions. If you're watching this at home, or if you have the luxury of being in class, just make sure you ask any questions. Don't hesitate to reach out via Brave Square or email, and we'll see you guys soon.